guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Merry Christmas, or whatever you celebrate wherever you are for this time of year. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're with friends and family, ones you love. If you're isolated like me because of COVID, spending the holiday alone, just know I am right there with you. I empathize. It sucks, but that's what's going on. We're all chilling solo. I have no idea how luck would have it that today's video landed on Christmas, because I don't really think this one's in the Christmas vibe. Tom Holland firing back at Martin Scorsese, and for what's got to be one of the nicest dudes in Hollywood, this is him really leaning in. I'm going to add some context here, explain why he said this. Martin Scorsese didn't say anything about him directly. This is just in response to some comments made earlier this year. Why this is coming up right now via The Hollywood Reporter. We're breaking down his most recent comments in response, but first, if you could consider hitting the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content here at this channel, and that's all we do. So if you're into that kind of thing, hit the sub button, leave a comment down below. That'll automatically enter you to win the PlayStation 5 we're giving away at 920,000 subscribers, and all the other giveaways here at the channel. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into the other giveaway stuff again there. So, most recently in discussions with The Hollywood Reporter, Tom Holland definitely did not hold back in his response to Martin Scorsese's now very famous quote that Marvel movies are not cinema. This is what he had to say, quote, "You can ask Martin, would you want to make a Marvel movie? But he doesn't know what it's like because he's never made one. I've made Marvel movies, and I've also made movies that have been in the conversation in the world of Oscars, and the only difference really is one is much more expensive than the other. But the way I break down the character, the way the director etches out the arc of the stories and the characters, it's all the same, just done on a different scale. So I do think they're real art." He goes on to say, when you're making these films, you know that good or bad, millions of people will see them. Whereas when you're making a small indie film, if it's not very good, no one will watch it. So it comes with different levels of pressure. I mean, you can also ask Benedict Cumberbatch or Robert Downey Jr. or Scarlett Johansson. People have made the kinds of movies that are Oscar-worthy and also made superhero movies, and they will tell you that they're the same, just on a different scale. And there's less spandex in Oscar movies. Now, the reason this is coming up, the reason Tom Holland even brought that up, wasn't in response to anything Martin Scorsese had said recently, but rather The Hollywood Reporter printed these quotes in an article released yesterday on Christmas Eve under the headline, Oscars, Spider-Man No Way Home team plans Best Picture push, Tom Holland opened to hosting, in which they revealed that the main brass behind this film are going to go after a Best Picture Oscar at the very least for Spider-Man No Way Home. And if you understand the relevance historically between the Academy and superhero movies, this would be monumental and completely groundbreaking if it were able to achieve this. Now, as the article headline implies, the rest of the top brass over at Sony and Marvel got in on this conversation, and quotes for the article as well. Amy Pascal, longtime producer on Spider-Man, had to say this, quote, "Just because there was a certain kind of genre doesn't mean they're not quality movies. We all got in the business to make movies that people want to see, that make people feel things, and I think this movie legitimately does this." Tom Rothman, who The Hollywood Reporter goes on to know, quote, was a top executive at Fox when it released Best Picture Oscar winner Titanic, and who literally founded the Searchlight division over at Fox to feature art films. I mean, he is Mr. Art Film. The art film fanboy went on to say this, "I love art films. I think it's fabulous that art films are now recognized at the Oscars to the degree which they are, but not at the exclusion of quality commercial cinema. We have to overcome, weirdly, the prejudice against the fact that it's a big hit." And of course, Kevin Feige also weighed in and said this, "I think both of these type of films deserve recognition. Think about the artistry that goes into the storytelling that connects with a wide range of people on a very emotional level. It's a good thing when people are in a theater and they stand up and cheer. It's a good thing when people are wiping tears because they're thinking back on the last 20 years of moviegoing and what it has meant to them. That, to me, is a very good thing, and the sort of thing that the Academy was founded back in the day to recognize." And again, I'll mention, if you're not familiar now with the history between the Academy and the superhero genre, there seems to be this deep-seated resentment, especially in the old guard in Hollywood, towards Marvel movies and their success when compared to the rest of the industry. Basically, Marvel movies and superhero movies are making all this money and are wildly successful, while a lot of other movies and genres suffer. But this is something that the Academy has missed since the beginning, and something I've had the same opinion on for the last 4 years, starting around Avengers Infinity War. Marvel movies didn't soak up the rest of the moviegoers. There weren't people in droves going to see multiple movies and genres and then all of a sudden decided they were just going to see Marvel movies instead. Marvel movies brought out comic fans who weren't going to see other movies, and then by extension, their friends and family turned into fans of the MCU as well. It wasn't one or the other, and in fact, the Academy should recognize Marvel Studios for bringing a whole new viewer with regular viewership to the theater. There are people who don't go to theaters to see other movies, but will go to theaters, especially even in this post-COVID era, to experience a Marvel movie with people in the theater, with friends and family, because it's become more than just the movie, but the collective, the fanhood, the event itself. The Academy completely missed it. They seem like just a bunch of jealous old people who are like, why don't you like our classic cinema? And then that's when you get directors like Martin Scorsese saying things like, well, Marvel movies aren't cinema. That's why Tom Holland absolutely nailed it with his quote, because he basically fired back, well, Martin, what's more cinema? A small budget, no marketing, not very good film that no one sees, or something that happens to be mainstream that everyone loves and is also a good film? And while that's a ridiculous argument, one that Martin and the Academy seem to want to have, because one doesn't come at the expense of others. People are still going to make small indie art films. They're still going to make mainstream blockbusters. What they seem to miss is that the MCU is only as big as it is because it was embraced so wholeheartedly by the fan base because of the good acting, the good storytelling, the good writing. Marvel movies had flopped in the past. Look at the past X-Men films. It wasn't a sure shot that the MCU would become this big. It's only as mainstream as it is now because of how good it was in the first place, something that the Academy seemed to have missed. But hey, you know what? That's on a long list of things that the Academy has missed in the past, and maybe they'll come around. Maybe Spider-Man No Way Home will end up with a Best Picture Oscar. It'll be groundbreaking and clear the path for Marvel movies and MCU movies to come. But in the meantime, it's hard to believe that anything's going to change over there, especially when the Academy represents so much of the old guard in Hollywood and doesn't really seem to have the voice of the people in mind, well, really, ever. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below, really about all of this. I'm curious as you are whether they'll win or not, and do you think they should be going for an Oscar push? Remember, Robert Downey Jr. told Marvel not to worry about it when they were going to try to do the Best Actor thing for him in Endgame. He seemed to have thrown the towel in, understanding he didn't need their badge of approval. I feel the same way about Spider-Man No Way Home. It's one of the best Marvel movies ever, and it doesn't need an Academy Award to confirm that. But let me know all your thoughts down below quickly. Let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Okay, so my name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. I have been an MCU journalist for almost 4 years now here at the channel, and we cover it all. We're also giving away